Okay, coming to you live from DevOps Days here in Austin with John Willis, aka Bachagaloop. John, how you doing?
Great, great.
So you kicked off the day today with the State of the Union or whatever for DevOps Days. Can you just tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah, I think it was back in 2010. I was asked by Patrick and Damon to just kind of set the stage, like a 15-minute. What is the State of the Union of DevOps? And it's kind of stuck now. So most of the major DevOps, the ones in Europe and the one in Mountain View, I've been asked to do this, and it's a lot of fun. What I try to do is kind of point out some of the, if you've seen my presentation, I like to have a lot of fun and to kind of get everybody kind of lively and joked up. But it's a serious part, which is where have we been? How do we get to where we are now? And then what are some of the interesting things that are kind of working and not working? And so this morning was a little bit again of the history of this kind of what I call convergence of DevOps. The things that have gotten us to this point, and then what are some of the things that we're still in this kind of confusion point, and what are some of the things that are really working?
It's funny, you had the things. Forget what you say. What's not working? What's working? And which were the same.
Well, the same things.
Same
yeah.
thing. So can you list those off?
Yeah, so I remember. Well, so the name DevOps. So like if on the DevOps, what's not working is there's still. I think Cote said it best today. Cote gave a presentation. Is that there's two types of people in the world, that the ones that understand DevOps and the ones that don't, right? And it is interesting because we have this battle with people, really smart people, that like fight this DevOps thing, and they fight it because of the name, and then there's other people that are equally brilliant, just come in and say, oh, I get it, I love it, and so that implies that we've got something wrong in the name. But what's wrong with DevOps is we spend a lot of times justifying and battling of the name itself, and people who've listened to your podcast will recall no ops and all these other variations of ops trying to change the name. Now, what's good about, or what's working in DevOps, the name, is it's been a lightning rod for phenomenal conversations and great technologies and solutions being built, and people are doing phenomenal things in the name of DevOps, right? So I think the second part, there was a couple others, but the definition, right? So the definition becomes also a positive and a negative. I mean, the negative again is we don't have a definition, and again, those people in the two types of people in the world, those people that don't like the name and want clarification, the first thing they want is to go to Wikipedia and see what the canonical definition of DevOps. Now, the other people who get it are okay without a definition. I think I talked about. I had a discussion with John Ospaw recently, and he was saying to me that like the word debug or bug, right? It was the word by Grace Hopper was created, a bug, right? And it represents a big part of all of our lives, right? But if you imagine everybody saying, well, you can't use that word. How are you going to define it? What's the definition? What's the Wikipedia definition of a bug? Oh, how can you, and so again, it's a problem, but it's a positive in that, like Damon Edwards says, we're letting this thing grow. I don't know that we need to put, a manifesto or a list together that declares it like, okay, we stop now. Everything new is not DevOps, right? So we're still on a journey, and I lean on. I mean, I'm bothered by the fact that we don't have a definition because it's frustrating to a lot of people, and that frustrates me. But I feel good about the fact that I think we're still on a journey. I think the other things were like what I call the church of DevOps, right? The people have a hard time getting. We tend to be, our passion comes across as arrogance, and sometimes it's just pure arrogance, right? Some people are just blatantly arrogant. Like if you're doing images and not building infrastructure by code, you're an idiot, right? Well, I mean, there's people who have logical and reasonable approaches to that, but you watch some of these lists where people will just jump all over them in the name of DevOps again. But again, the church of DevOps is all this passion, things like Crowbar. And I mean, I think a lot of this comes because this passion to converge things like open source and technologies. So those are some of the things I think. I think also what I call the billion deploys a day. That
it get a little intimidating for some of the new people.
Exactly right. Like I heard one guy stand up and say, one of the ones in Europe was like, hey, just because we don't do 10 deploys a day doesn't mean we suck, Like, you're right. No, it doesn't, right? But the good side is, as I ended my presentation, I won't cuss on your podcast, but that we have raised the bar. DevOps has raised the bar, right? So when you get somebody like Amazon coming out at Velocity last year and saying they're doing a production deploy every 11.6 seconds, and in 1 month at the end of 2010, they basically did 1,000 deploys in 1 hour.
Wow.
Right? I mean, so the bar is raised. I mean, you can look at it two ways. You can look at it as like, oh my God, we'll never catch up, or you can say, those guys are our competitors, and we better figure out how to do something.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
John Willis, thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Awesome.